I've met some amazing young conservatives here at AmericaFest. Charlie Kirk has educated a whole generation. He's got incredible programs that work in education, worked on college campuses and so forth. He's an amazing guy. But I got to speak for a few minutes on the economic and monetary situation in America, the fact that we have $36 trillion in debt. And a lot of people came up. I did a book signing with Patriot Mobile, and they came up and they said, hey, nobody else is talking about the debt here. Why doesn't anybody talk about this? They don't realize that we're adding $1 trillion of debt every 100 days. That's insane. We're going to have $100 trillion in debt over the next 30 years. We'll be paying an interest, 2/3 of all our tax revenues in very short order, according to The Economist magazine. And then I ran across Kyle Campbell. I've been on her program, which is incredible. I've met her at multiple conferences, know her family, and she knows my family. She's an amazing young woman, a Gen Zer who can help explain to Gen Zers exactly what economics are. So we asked her to be a part of Economic War Room to tell us a Gen Z perspective on economics and monetary policy. Welcome, Kyle.
Thanks, Kevin. Boy, I think I might be the oldest Gen Z member of all time. I'm actually a millennial, but
you are
we'll
millennial.
Go with that.
You are so young looking. You're beautiful. You reach young people.
Stop. Okay. Happy to be with you. It's great to see you here at AmFest, which is really, we feel like we're in the center of the Gen Z universe. The energy's high. These kids are really engaged in politics. I always say on Politically Basic, I'm trying to make politics fun again. And I think they've caught that fire. They're really into it, and I'm thrilled to see it. But one thing that we have forgotten is that when all of these colleges and universities over the last year or so, since October 7th and what happened in Israel, we realized all this anti-Semitism that had been brewing in our higher education systems, right? And everybody stopped and thought, what in the world are they teaching these kids in school? We weren't sure. Some of it got exposed during COVID and we were on Zoom and could see and hear. But they're also not teaching financial literacy.
No.
So we have this new crop, this new generation.
Hatred,
sure.
But not practical things that people should be doing.
I thank God for you. You're a genius when it comes to this. Brilliant. And it's so fascinating. And you found this great way to connect young, engaged, interested Americans who are patriots to what's going on economically and financially in our country. So they have a lot of questions. You know, I have questions. You said you're going to ask me questions, but I've got questions for you again, Kevin.
You are the consummate host. You've got a Politically Basic is incredible.
Thank you.
And you speak in American language.
That's it.
So that people can understand what you're saying. You take these big concepts, like what's the debt ceiling and all that, and you make it simple for people. We talk about money here and monetary policy and so forth. Everybody's ignoring it. They think you can print money forever. They call it modern monetary theory. There's basic economic laws. If you make more of something, its value is less.
Makes good sense to me.
Yeah, the more you print of money, the less valuable the money is. It's just a natural truth. But how do you explain those things? How are you reaching? What are you doing here at AmFest, and how do you get the concepts across?
Well, I'm here at AmFest for the first time. This is exactly the audience that I am trying to work for. And why I started Politically Basic was to do exactly, you just described it really beautifully. I take these sometimes complex political concepts or current political events. We've been talking a lot about the debt in the news lately, spending bills, and how Trump's economy in his second administration is going to be different from not only Biden's right now, which is horrific, but even from his first administration. And then we're just breaking it down. And so I feel like if I can understand it, everybody can understand it. I'm not afraid to ask why. I'm not afraid to ask someone to explain something and break it down even further. So that's what we're doing here. And I'm really glad to be able to connect with these young kids and see what do they understand? What do they want to know more about?
So break down Doge. You've got celebrity star factor. You've got Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. So it's star factor. But how would you explain what the Department of Government Efficiency is?
Well, we love it, number one. It has star power, but you have two people who understand economics very well. Vivek Ramaswamy, obviously in the financial world, and Elon Musk, who knows just about everything about everything. And so these two very successful people have come together and decided to take every federal agency, turn it upside down, clean it out, see what's been going on, and figure out where all this government waste has been going. Because we know now that we've had all of these people working from home. We don't know what they're doing. It's costing billions of dollars. What's actually getting done? This current presidential administration, Kevin, has spent money like a house of fire, and our country has been worsened in the process. So they're really going in and doing a clean out audit of all of these agencies, and they're going to get the ship righted in this. And so we're thrilled. I can't wait. And what was fun was they put out a poll and asked people on X, of course, because it's Elon's, what agency should we start with first? And of course, everyone overwhelmingly said the IRS. So we'll look forward to that.
We will. And, Dr. Carson, we just had him on the program. He went in and cleaned up HUD. It was a slush fund of evil, bad projects and so forth, keeping people in hot poverty rather than helping them out. And I think Elon and Vivek can do that across the whole government. If these bureaus were held to the standards that private business, they'd be bankrupt. They would have been bankrupted long ago. Everybody would have been fired and shut down. And yet in government, nothing ever gets shut down. It gets subsidized and kept alive forever. So I'm hopeful. Do you think they can pull off? I mean, we're running a $2 trillion deficit, and they talk about cutting $2 trillion out of waste. You can't do it purely from discretionary spending. You have to get into mandatory spending somewhat. Do you think they'll be able to accomplish it?
I think eventually they're going to come close. So what else has been happening? We've had this assumption that our kids are being taught some kind of financial literacy in schools. We also have this assumption that our government is operating in some kind of responsible way. It's a horrible misconception, because what's really been happening is we've had things like the Inflation Reduction Act, right? Which was really just pretending.
Inflation Creation Act.
Yes. Really just pretending that we need to throw billions and billions and billions of dollars toward the climate, and nothing's getting changed. Nothing is happening. And so I think they're going to go in, they're going to clean up a lot of the waste. Some people are going to get fired, which is why there's so much pushback, but there is a lot of fat to trim. Now, $2 trillion, this is a huge goal. And I think they're going to make good inroads. I also think they're going to get some opposition because, of course, the Democrat Party is highly interested in keeping that at bay. They don't want to see them make progress here because that's their jobs and all of their contracts.
This administration.
Absolutely.
That's their goal.
So they know it's 4 years, and they can cause trouble for 4 years. They did it in 2016.
They certainly did. All right, we're going to have to take a break. When we come back, I want to hold you over, and I want to talk a little bit more about how we can teach economics, basic principles, to the next generation. We need that. We'll be right back after this break.
In uncertain times, finding stability in the economy can feel challenging. But what if you could navigate economic volatility while honoring your biblical values? At Timothy Plan, they believe this balance is possible. Timothy Plan filters its volatility-weighted ETFs and family of mutual funds through a biblical pro-life and pro-family lens, so you can see competitive returns and moral responsibility, helping you to weather the economic storms. With Timothy Plan, align your investments with your values while adapting to our ever-changing culture. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has been recognized leader in biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, your bridge between faith, finances, and the future. Visit timothyplan.com or call 1-800-TIM-PLAN or 1-800-846-7526. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com.
Oh, hi, I'm Kevin Sorb. I'm here to tell you about coffee. Well, not really, but I'm going to use coffee to illustrate my point. Here we have several different coffees, each with its own unique characteristics. First, we have instant coffee. This coffee pretends to be coffee, but it's not really coffee at all. It's a fraud. Plus, it tastes terrible. I'm out. Next, we have woke coffee. Their coffee actually tastes pretty good, until you find out that when you drink it, you have to admit that you've oppressed other coffees in the past. Insanity. I'm out. Next, we have Big Tech Coffee. Now, these guys used to encourage folks to share with others what they thought about their coffee. But now, if you say you don't like Big Tech Coffee, they'll take away your coffee pot. I'm out. this brings us to Patriot Mobile Coffee, right? This is one big cup of truth and freedom. There's no fraud here. Patriot Mobile is America's real Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile gives back millions of dollars every year to organizations that are on the front lines fighting for our freedoms. Patriot Mobile offers the best nationwide 4G and 5G coverage on the same networks as the other major carriers. So you'll get the same great coverage along with 100% US-based customer support while knowing you are supporting a company that shares your conservative values. Switch to Patriot Mobile today by visiting patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT.
We're talking with Kyle Campbell, and we're talking about Gen Z. We're talking about educating them about economic issues. These are going to hit Gen Z much harder than they'll ever hit me because, they've got a lot of debt and life ahead of them, hopefully not too much debt. One of the big things is student debt. And I want to share a quick story from my daughter. When we had the election in 2016, my daughter was in elementary school, I think, middle school, and she had all her friends, and they were talking about, who are you going to vote for? And some of her friends said Bernie Sanders. I want to vote for Bernie Sanders. Well, why? Well, because he's going to make it to where I don't have to pay for my college. College will be free, and he'll pay off all the student debt and all of that. And my daughter said, okay, how are they going to pay that off? Who's going to pay it? The answer is the government, right? And where does the government get its money? I don't know. They print it, I guess. I don't know where they get it. She said they're going to tax it. They're going to tax it from your parents first, and then they're going to tax it from you. And then you're going to be paying for that, whether you go to college or not, for the rest of your life, because that debt is going to come to you regardless of whether you got the benefit of college. Oh, I didn't think about that. Why don't young people understand where money comes from?
It hasn't come to their doorstep yet. And this is one of the reasons that Donald Trump won this election so resoundingly, was because the economic issues and the future that Gen Z was facing financially came to them finally. It finally dawned on them, hey, I might never own a home, be able to afford a home. I can barely pay my rent. I can't pay my insurance. I can't attend
that was on
college.
the cover of the Washington Post, where they said, lower your expectations. That's what they told them. Don't think about buying a home anymore, but maybe getting a townhome or a condo or a nice apartment.
And Kamala Harris said that the American dream is no longer a thing. The American dream is dead. And I think that really hit home with so many people. And the assumption that these kids are dumb, and they're not. They're smart and passionate and motivated, and they want the life that their parents had and had set up for them. And so it really dawned on them, hey, wait a minute, we can't continue on with this. And there's that connection, right? That what is happening in America, in our economy, with this debt and with inflation and the affordability isn't sustainable. And they do finally get it. Now, the schools aren't educating on this. We're reliant now on voices like yours, thank God, to help them understand it. But when it becomes relevant to their lives in such an impactful way, a huge way that affects their entire future, they're paying attention and they want to know, they want this information.
Well, it's an obvious answer to this is government's been growing faster than the private sector, and we've got to have the private sector growing faster than government. Otherwise, everybody ends up being a government employee, and that's how you backdoor socialism. The answer is you grow your economy faster than you grow your government, and then the debt is taken care of over time. You got to cut the government size, and you got to increase. So we want to unleash entrepreneurs. I remember when I was in college, I talked to my professors. They were all Marxist, and they asked me, because my dad was a stockbroker, they said, what's a good investment? I was like, what do you care? You're a Marxist. You don't believe in capitalism. They said, well, man's got to make a little money. And I learned personal capitalism is different than theoretical Marxism. At the end of the day, what if we unleash entrepreneurs? What if we unleash, that's why they like Elon Musk.
That's it.
He's Tony Stark.
Yes.
He builds things. He does things. He's the richest man on planet Earth because he's built amazing things. Young people are creative. We interviewed just a patent guy yesterday, Randy Landrino, who he was sharing on how the patent system has been turned against individual inventors and captured by large corporations. How can we make young people realize economic liberty requires less government, not more government?
Yeah, the growth and the creativity being unleashed is the key here. And this is what our younger generations are best at. They're hungry. They want to see if they can become the next Elon Musk or the next Vivek Ramaswamy. We've always had that spirit here in America. It's why other nations' parents send their kids to America to go to college, because they're not getting that creative spirit there. And we do it like nobody else does it here. So you're exactly right. And two, we've talked about this, the regulations. We cannot be such a tightly regulated nation and then grow and bolster that entrepreneurial spirit. So these kids are smart. And I will tell you too, Kevin, this new wave of technology, AI, and this whole world is brand new, and it will, whoever captures this will dominate the world. And so it's a new day, and we've got to bring these kids along financially, technologically, spiritually, to be able to remain the world leader on all of these fronts.
Well, I talked with my friend Rod Martin, and space is it's the final frontier. We've got artificial intelligence that will tie into space. Elon talks about colonizing Mars, but it's going to be in our lifetime that you're going to be able to go from New York City to Tokyo in a matter of a half an hour or something, because you go up and then you land. And he's proven it with the rockets. Transportation will change. Energy will change. You put solar collectors in space and beam the power down, you'll have a limitless supply of perfectly green energy without, taking up all the landmass of the United States with solar collectors. There's so many things that involve space. So Elon's at the front of this, but he's not the only one. There will be other inventions we haven't even thought of that will change the world, and it will be young inventors that are doing that.
And they need to understand how to get the money it's going to take to accomplish these things.
They need money. They will also need less government interference. The scientific consensus at the time of the birth of the airplane, the greatest minds, like the guy that was the head of the Smithsonian, I think the story goes, he said, man will never fly in 10,000 years or something ridiculous like that. While the Wright brothers were tinkering with bicycles and at Kitty Hawk, and they created an airplane. So the world is changing. We just got to stop telling young people, no, it can't be done, and start telling them, show us how to do it. That's how I got my start in finance. John Temple, the great mutual fund pioneer, John Temple, and he said, no, we can't do what you're saying about separate account management. And I said, oh, okay. And I went away depressed, and he wrote me back a few months later and said, I never should have said it can't be done. I should have said, show me how it can be done. I wrote a business plan. He hired me. I went to work for him. My career is built on that. And the future for young people will be people my age saying, show me how we can do it and let me support you and help make it happen. That's what Charlie Kirk is all about.
Yes.
So I love seeing you here at AmFest. We're going to have another break that's coming up in a second. I want to talk about Kyle Campbell. What gives you hope? What drives you? I've known your family. I've known your mom for a while. You do so much good here on planet Earth. And you've got this new podcast. I want to learn how people can follow you. And I also want to learn what gives you hope. What excites you about the future? You ready to cover that?
I am so ready when you are,
third and final segment.
I can't wait.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking with Kyle Campbell about all these exciting things that you're doing, that you're seeing done, the things that are thrilling you, what young people are teaching you, and what you're passing along to the next generation. Kyle Campbell back on Economic War Room right after this break.
Washington said paper money opens the door to every species of fraud and injustice. Jefferson said paper is poverty. Hamilton said to emit an unfunded paper as the sign of value ought not to continue a formal part of the Constitution. The founders hated paper money, so they put a pirate money clause in the Constitution for our state to use. Learn more at transactionalgold.com.
Somewhere a perversion has taken place. Our natural unalienable rights are now considered to be a dispensation of government, and freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp as it is at this moment.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It has to be fought for and defended by each generation.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
In this most critical time in our nation's history, now more than ever, Americans need to align with companies that support our constitutional rights and God-given freedoms. Patriot Mobile supports your values and provides exceptional 100% US-based customer service. Join the movement today. Go to patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT.
We're at AmFest. We're talking with Kyle Campbell. She's got an incredible podcast, and she has been studying in two generations, the one that's coming up and the one that went before her, and she's got some brilliant insights. So, Kyle, what is it that you have learned here at AmFest, and what do you want to pass along to this generation?
I'll tell you, Kevin, the thing that has impressed upon me the most, that really dawned on me yesterday with the start of this incredible event, is Charlie Kirk calls AmFest a movement. We are experiencing a movement, and he is absolutely right. It's something to learn about the energy and focus on why these young people went in droves away from the Democrat Party and toward a Republican candidate, which they don't typically do, and try to dig into that and understand it, which we love to do. But we need to step back, being here, feeling the energy, seeing how bright, how motivated, how energized, passionate, patriotic these kids are. We call them kids, but boy, they're surpassing adults in a lot of ways, and they really truly are our future. I am filled with so much hope for the future, truly, because of just the way that these kids have embodied the American spirit in all of its best form. So they will actually be the largest voting cohort in our next presidential election, too. So we always want to focus on the youth vote, right? And then those kids grow up and we don't pay attention to them anymore. And candidates think, hey, I've got your vote locked down. But these kids, they are some of the best of the best. You know, they're tough. They've been through a lot. They've survived COVID. And they really want to get engaged in politics. I love this so much about them. And we can't be complacent. We can't rest on our laurels here. We've got to give them every best arming of resources and education that we can so that they can go the farthest they can go. I think we're going to do it. Charlie Kirk does such a brilliant job of this in treating them with respect when also a political party has disrespected them and forgotten about them and just assumed their allegiance. So I love everything I'm seeing and hearing here, and I think we should just continue full speed ahead in backing these kids because they are going to do incredible things.
Well, I want to give a lot of credit to Barron Trump, who talked his dad into going on podcasts.
That's it.
And the impact of Joe Rogan, you can't measure that. And when the vice president said, oh, no, you come to me and do it my way, and the former president said, no, I'm happy to go to you and do it your way, it made all the difference in the world. You've got a podcast. You're growing, and tell us about that. Tell us about your favorite moments in your podcast, and also tell us about the impact you hope to have.
Well, thanks for asking about it, and thanks for coming and being on my show. It was a great episode, and people loved it. We had such great feedback from your episode. My show's called Politically Basic. It was born out of a need to just really explain all of these political concepts, break them down, so that people can develop their own political ideology and not just be told by mainstream media or by a certain major political party what to think and how to feel and what to put on their poster when they go to the rallies. It's about personal agency when it comes to your political beliefs, and then being able to be armed with that information and enter into these higher level political discussions and really make a difference. Because I get so energized by politics. I know not everybody does, but when you learn more, I just think it amps up that energy level, excitement level. And I want to give that to people, especially our younger generations, and see what they can do with it.
You know what I think is going to be funny? I'm going to watch this. I'll watch Rush Limbaugh when he took radio here for conservative truth. And then everybody tried to mimic him.
Right.
And they tried to. So what's going to happen, I think, is everybody's going to try and mimic what you're doing and Joe Rogan and everybody else, and the Democrats and the leftists, they'll do it. And people will tune it out because they know it's just a bunch of hypocrisy. It's not truth. But I'm excited. I look forward for Politically Basic. There's going to be a time when you may have Barron Trump on your podcast.
I hope so. We love Barron.
Have President Trump himself or Elon Musk. When you do, tell them hello and tell them how much we appreciate and admire them.
You're so sweet.
But you're headed that direction because when you take and break down political truth as you've done and people get it and how it works, you change lives, you'll change the world.
Yeah, I mean, that is the goal, is to just give people the truth, give them the facts, and then let them put it together on their own, in their own time and in their own way. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to think or what to believe, but this is really the way that I can serve my country and give back to people is having these amazing conversations and highlighting people doing great work. We're covering the world of AI. We're talking about energy. We just had nuclear physicists on. We're covering the whole gamut of every issue that is political. So it is a blast. They're not boring conversations. They're so much fun. I'm learning a ton, and I think and hope that my audience is really getting a lot out of it too.
Give us one example. We just got a couple of minutes left. Give us one example of one thing that you learned on Politically Basic that you was like, that blew me away.
Okay, well, I'm going to refer to the episode that you gave me.
Okay.
Because that was one of my listener favorites and, of course, one of my favorites because it was so fascinating. And you broke down how the U.S. Constitution allows for the use of gold as legal tender. There's a pirate map and a treasure map, for goodness sakes. I mean, what you have created and brought forward to our economy is just really remarkable. It's a fun episode. It's fascinating. I learned a ton, and I thought it was really relatable too. So I appreciated that one so much. You guys can catch that episode with Kevin on it at Politically Basic or go to politicallybasic.com. But like your show, we're everywhere podcasts are broadcast.
That's fantastic. You're doing a great public service. How long have you been doing your Politically
We're still
Basic?
new. We launched in June. So we're only on month 7, I think. But we're going year round. Season 2 is going to start in January. Just had phenomenal guests on. We're talking about every issue. It's just amazing. So much good information's coming from these episodes. So I hope people will follow. I'm also at Being Kyle Campbell, where I give my personal political commentary on everything happening.
So people can get at
Being Kyle Campbell?
Yes.
It's just Kyle and then Campbell, Campbell. That's my show name. And then Politically Basic is the other account.
Politicallybasic.com.
You got it.
All right. This is the kind of thing that you get from Charlie Kirk's AmericaFest. You meet the most fascinating speakers. We've had Ben Carson and Frank Gaffney and Barry McGuire, a car wax guy, a national security expert, the greatest surgeon in modern America and the former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and Kyle Campbell, who's educating the next generation on politically basic truths. That's why it's called Politically Basic. And when young people grasp how our system works and how they can profit from it and build something significant in it, that's the future and the hope of America. So look, everything we've covered here and all of our episodes will be made available to you in a free economic battle plan. You get a copy of that if you go to economicwarroom.com and you search for the link that says sign up for our free battle plans, or there'll be a sign-in link up at the top. We're talking economics. We've been talking with Kyle Campbell, politicallybasic.com. Remember, what we see as a marketplace, our enemies view as a battle space. This is Kevin Freeman from the Economic War Room.